Okay, Rabotai, let's talk a little bit about Purim. Purim is about revelation that is beyond revelation. It's a very complex idea, right? In Megillat Esther, we all know that the name of God, the name of Hashem, does not appear not even once. And by the way, this is not accidental. This is for a particular reason. This is a deep theological statement that it is here. And the question is there a divine conduct that is not being revealed through, let's say, breaking the laws of nature? Can God reveal himself to us in a way that it's going to be so-called natural or not? Because usually it's through miracles and so on and so forth against the laws of nature. But if we're going to look at these two holidays in the Jewish calendar, both Hanukkah and Purim, Hanukkah would be the light that comes into the darkness, and Purim will be the revelation that darkness itself, that's important, the darkness itself is a hidden light. It's a new concept. So in Kabbalah we talk about two different types of what we call shefa, of abundance. There is what is so-called Or Yashar, which is a clear revelation. I mean, for example, just out in the open miracles, right? Whether it's splitting of the Red Sea, fire from the heavens, right, and so on and so forth. These are the miracles that we were talking about that we all know. And then there is another type of light that's called Or Chozer, a reflective light. And that is a light that is being created from the darkness itself, right? Usually from man's choice itself. I mean, when a person makes a choice, that's how it comes out. I was just thinking about it. It's almost like if you think about the concept of dark matter, right? Or let's say, like a black hole, right? Light goes into the black hole, and it's there. It's just not being reflected out. It's just being there. So these are the two different types of light that we have. Purim belongs to the reflective light, the light that is coming back from inside, from the darkness itself. There is no supernatural involvement per se, as we always know, right? There is what we call a natural cause of event. Like, for example, right, which comes very natural. There was a banquet. There was the jealousy, right? All so-called human. There's politics. There is the insomnia of Achashverosh, right? This is all natural things. And specifically, in these circumstances, right, the natural circumstances is engulfing what we call the Geulah, which is redemption. The redemption is really intertwined within that. And this is basically a higher level, because why is it a higher level? It's a higher level because it does not force you to believe. It does not oppress you to believe, but rather invites you to believe. In other words, belief is being invited into our lives through that, and that's why it's a higher level. I mean, that's something that we did all the time in terms of Jews. We don't force people, to convert to Judaism. We don't missionarize people to do so. Excuse me. But rather we invite people. You want to come in? Listen, come in. But we don't go after, because we want to be on a higher level. And that's something that for all of us to really, how should I say it, process when we're trying to reach out to people and we try to make them chozer b'tshuva. You can't do that. You can't make a person to be chozer b'tshuva. And even if you did so, it will come out. It has to be through showing the people how good it is, and then they'll come themselves. That's why it's a higher level. That's a higher level. Chazal were darshing on the pasuk, V'anochi astir panai, right? So Chazal said that there is a double word of haster. Hester is to hide, right? Lehastir, seter is to hide, right? So the first hester, right, which is quite obvious. Hester panim is we don't see miracles. We don't see miracles like we used to see miracles, even the times of the temple in Jerusalem, right? There were 10 miracles that happened every single day. One of them was the famous ones, the candle, Ner Ma'aravi, always was lit, regardless of, it never turned off. Another one, for example, was the fire on the mizbeach, on the altar. It was outside. Now, it didn't make a difference how stormy or windy or humid. The fire, the smoke always went up straight like a pillar up to the thing. There was a whole list of them. The Gemara states of them. But these are we saw this every single day. Every single day you went to your Jerusalem, you stand over there, when you're going down to the Kotel, you were standing looking on where the wall is today and where the Arab mosque, the occupied land by the Arabs, you used to see, you want to see a miracle, go see a miracle. It's right there in the open, right in the open. There could be gale storms, there could be a hurricane. Pillar still, the smoke still goes up straight like this. So that's one Hester Panim. We don't see miracles like this anymore. The other Hester, the other mask that we have on is quite pathetic. We don't even realize that we don't see miracles anymore. We don't realize that we're in such a state of hidden that we don't even know that. We're not aware of that. So if we're talking about Hester, we're going to talk about Esther, right? Hester is with Hey. Now we're going to talk about Esther. Esther HaMalka, her name is, to those, I'm going to burst your bubble, right? If any of you has a bubble. Really come from the name of Ashtara, right? Esther. Her name was not Esther. Her Jewish name, Hadassah. Her Jewish name was Hadassah. I'm sure they call her Dase. Actually, they didn't call her Dase. They call her Hadassah, right? The Gemara talks about it. But the Queen Esther, is not just a historical figure that we are talking about, this lady that we're talking about, but rather represents a certain state of where the divine himself is really so covered up that a person would not even feel it near him. And that's the state that we're at right now. God is among us all the time. God never left us. Never. It's just that it's so hidden and so wrapped up with so many different layers on that we can't see this anymore. So that's Esther. But specifically Esther HaMalka, right? This hidden, call it hidden women figure, right? Is this Jewish lady that does not reveal what's her nation is. She doesn't reveal, it's quite secretive about it. Basically, Esther HaMalka becomes the vehicle for Geula itself. She becomes the vehicle of Geula. By the way, this shiur is dedicated to the refuah shlema of Shaul ben Morvari and also refuah shlema of Tal bat Shlomit. So now, this Geula, this redemption, comes from that Hester, comes from this hiding. And it comes from it, does not come because of it. And there's a big inyan here, it's a big thing, something for us to think about here. We're talking about another figure we're talking about another figure of the Megillah. Of course, is the famous Haman Ha'agagi, right? Haman Ha'agagi comes from he's a descendant of Amalek. Agag was the king of Amalek. So Haman Ha'agagi was a descendant of King Agag. He represents a very interesting concept that we have here, way beyond some political wickedness. Way beyond political wickedness. It's something that is very deep. We have every generation, we have our own modern day Haman, but this guy in particular is more so of an idea, right? The same thing as Amalek itself is an idea. Amalek, which represents what we call the coincidental, reality. That everything is just coincidence, just so happens. And why is that? We all know that Amalek, the numerical value of Amalek is 240. We all know that. 240. Amalek, and so it's a known thing. Everybody knows that the numerical value of Safek, of a doubt, is also 240. Now, why is this important? Because this Amalek guy and Haman and so on and so forth, and you'll see it today also. That's why I said to you, in every generation, the Kabbalah says every generation there's another nation that takes upon itself, or group of people that take upon themselves the role of Amalek. Every generation. Now, what does it exactly mean? The Amalek does not say there is no God. Because if I'm going to tell you there is no God, you're going to resist me. Says, listen, I'm not listening to you. Amalek is very smart. Amalek tells you, maybe there isn't God. Maybe there is. I agree with you. But maybe there isn't. Once he starts with that, he already got you engaged in a conversation.
So Amalek is doubt?
Excuse me?
It's doubt?
Doubt. Absolutely. Once you get engaged with the conversation, you basically lost.
Yeah.
So you don't engage in the conversation. The same thing, for example, if there is any politician that will come to you and say to you, well, for the better of for the good of the better, right? Even if it's to save one person, it's worth it, right? You should know right away, stay away from this person, because this person is basically trying to sell you tyranny.
What's the situation?
I'll give you a situation. For example, for the good of the better, we should not drive cars. We should take public transportation. For the good of the better, you know what? Don't even ride bicycles, because, even if it saves one person, like for example, reducing the speed limit in New York City from 30 miles an hour to 25 miles an hour to 20 miles an hour, depends where you are. Even if it saves one life.
Put him there. Or just a snowball.
Or just throw snowballs. It's just a snowball. He's basically telling you tyranny. Is I'm going to take over you. When a person tells you those words, run away, run to the other side, or just throw him out to the other side, or one of these things, right? So Amalek comes and tells you, maybe. By doing so, he kind of cools off your religious or theological excitement. You start thinking, maybe, let me think, maybe. By doing so, he kind of melts down, not like the snow in New York that doesn't melt down, right? I think that's why the city here is waiting, right? They're waiting for the snow to melt down so they don't have to shovel, but that's okay. But it melts down your certainty. You're not so clear anymore. Well, excuse me? Exactly. Yeah. He casts a shadow of coincidence over the things. It just happens, a coincidence. But pay attention, Rabotai, pay attention. The word Haman appears actually in the Torah itself. Not in the Bible, in the 5 books. It appears in the 5 books. It says in the Torah, in the first question, right after the sin of Adam, right? What was the question? Hamin ha'etz asher tziviticha. Hamin ha'etz. Right? Hamin ha'etz, Haman. It's the same letters, right? The root of sin. The root of sin is doubt. That's what all the problem comes from, a doubt. That's the root of sin. I don't know. Maybe I'll eat it, I'll die. Maybe I'll eat it, I won't die. That's how it is, right? Now, being disconnected from certainty, from your internal certainty, right? That's what happens to us. So I know for sure, for example, that there is a God. You coming, putting doubts on me. That's why my decline will go down. That's how things will go start to slow down, and that's a huge problem for us. Purim comes to cure the sin of Etzadat, of the tree of knowledge that they ate in the garden. This differentiation, the difference between good and bad, between holy and unholy, right? So, in the Gemara in Masechet Megillah, it says, "Chayav einesh lipsumi befuria adelo yada ben arur haman lebaruch Mordechai." A person needs to be, quote unquote, not necessarily, we're not talking about literally, person needs to be so-called intoxicated that you will not be able to tell whether it's, between, let's say, how should I say it? Let's say, not use politician, between Haman and Mordechai. In other words, I don't know anymore from good and bad. All right, let's put it this way. Right? I don't know anymore. What does it mean?
I think in Bnei Brak they take it very literally.
Yeah, that's which is very bad. The pshat of the door, the simple way of looking at it, it's not being physically drunk. And if a person tells you that, he's absolutely wrong and he's messing up the whole entire point. But rather breaking that intellectual self-tyranny of things. When what you're doing to yourself, right? That, stop thinking according to the thing. Like for example, when a person is drunk, he acts differently. Act like you are drunk to that matter. Don't go after your habits, whatever you did, whatever and so on. Let's just break 1 second the vessel. Let's just break the patterns in the brigham. That's exactly the let go. Now, what does it mean? The brain divides between good and bad. This is good, this is bad. This is good, this is bad, right? But in the divine depth, when we're dealing with such ideas, right? We need to understand that both Haman and Mordechai, right, are a part of the process. Both Haman and Mordechai are part of the process. Haman is the catalyst that brings about the revelation. Because without that decree, there was not awakening. There won't be any awakening. Because without the decree of Haman, there won't be an awakening. Without the awakening, there won't be fasting. Without the fasting, there will not be tshuva. Without the tshuva, there will not be achdut. There won't be unity. So you see from here that even Haman himself served as a vehicle into fulfilling God's will, right? Now, in the depth of it, the opposing force always opposes the serving force, right? So, and in a way, even the opposing force serves a purpose in the big plan. Think about it. And everything that, at the end, things revolve exactly how God wanted it to happen.
It's like Paro.
Excuse me?
It's like Paro, same thing.
Just like Paro, exactly. Now, to see, in other words, when you reach this point, that's basically like a messianic awareness. What's a messianic awareness? The messianic awareness will be that we should be able to see the unity beyond the differences that we have to each other. We should be able to see that we're all here to serve one thing, regardless of who we are in terms of our background, even to the point, if you take it even deeper, even beyond the point of being a Jew or being a Gentile. We are all here to serve God and to bring God's life. And if you're able to see that, you'll see that all those forces that try to differentiate and celebrate on the differences in the wrong way, basically don't come to justify, oh, listen, you have a way to say, but rather, you have a voice to say, but rather becomes as a vehicle to put us apart, to divide and conquer us, not to unify us, to put us apart. So when a person understands that, this is how you bring Mashiach about. You understand that you need to put everybody together. Everything serves a purpose. There's no such thing as purposeless in the world of God. We need to understand that. We need to come to terms with that. Now, Chazal says that when the Megillah says, Kimu v'kiblu Yehudim, the Jews accepted and they fulfilled whatever was said to them, right? In other words, Kimu, whatever Kimu they established, whatever they received already. And why is that? Because in Matan Torah, when they received the Torah, it was forced, right? We say, Kafa alehem har kigigit. He forced them to do it, right? So therefore, in Purim, is a different type of Kabbalah. It's Kabbalah miratzon. It's because we accept it because we want it, not because you're going to drop a mountain over our head. Because that's what we want. Kiblu aleim haYehudim, upon themselves. Nobody asked them. We says that's what needs to be done. We accepting this upon ourselves all the time. So now, in other words, they kiblu, right? They kimu, whatever they already accept in Matan Torah. And so that's what we are basically talking about here. So, and why specifically in the state of the galut, right? When we were in exile, why under the threat of being alienated, completely being wiped out? Why is that, right? So we have to understand that emunah, belief, is being created or generated through the darkness. A deep belief, right? Which is created from the light itself. In Sinai there was a revelation. In Mount Sinai there was a revelation, right? God revealed himself. And as I said to you before, in Purim there was a choice. When a person chooses, when a person makes a b'chira, when a person chooses from emunah within the Hester Panim, where God does not do the miracles, but I'm choosing to believe because I know that this is what needs to be done. This is the highest level that we can reach, and that's why they reach in Purim. They reach a tremendous closeness to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And by the way, as a result of that, even when Mashiach will come and Am Yisrael will be in Yerushalayim and so on and so forth, these are the Chagim, these are the holidays in which you're going to be accepted. You know, we're going to keep this very strict, which is Purim and Chanukah. Yes.
Chanukah.
So now, when a person does the b'chira or to choose emunah, choose to believe from the place of Hester, he basically creating a free connection, right? It's a connection that is much stronger than that. It's a much more mature than that. The connection is much deeper than that. So of course, we're coming now to the final stages, like what happens in Purim, that we have to get dressed. I mean, it's not Mardi Gras, so what's really going on here? So getting dressed up in Purim and putting customs of Purim is not just an external tradition that people do, but rather it is a cosmic symbolism here. What does it mean? The world itself is basically some big costume that we put on, right? Nature itself is a cover up, some kind of a excuse me, some kind of a mask here. And why is that? The world, right? The word olam, world, really comes from the word he'alem. He'alem means to be hidden, to be hidden, to be covered up. In Purim we wear masks. Why? In order to hint to us that all year long we are walking out with a mask without even being aware of that. And what I'm going to tell you is the following. Somebody said to me, the average age expectancy in the West is somewhere between 78 to 80 years old. You retire at 67. Guys, knock out with the table. Watch out with the food,
But,
huh?
I was like 73 to retire.
Now he's 70.
Everything went up, yeah.
Oh yeah? Okay, so whatever it is. Okay, so you're going to work for whatever years in your life in order to be able to live later on for like 10 years? I mean, it doesn't make sense. About why we keep on telling ourselves stories. We keep on telling ourselves masks like this. We ever stop really to say, who am I? Who am I? You're not a CEO all the time. You're not this. Who are you? So all year long we put a mask on ourselves. And here comes the Torah. Chazal tells you, listen, there has to be a time in which you remove the mask and should be brave enough to actually, be able to face really who you are. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh bidbaro. So now, when we remove this mask, we see that sometimes that even the mask itself is a part of what I call the divine game or the divine plane. Even the mask itself, because that needs to bring you on, to a certain place to do certain things. However, le'atid lavo, into the future, the reality itself is going to be a constant revelation all the time. In the future, it's going to be. And of course, because of that we don't need any more external miracles. It's going to be a constant revelation all the time. And Purim, when it comes to this holiday, it really reveals us that nature itself, what we call it natural, is wrong. Nature itself is actually a miracle, right? That even mundane, the chol itself, even your daily things, is holy. Gam zeh kadosh. We think that only the stuff that has to do with, with learning Torah, mitzvot, it becomes kadosh, and the rest of it is not kadosh. You are wrong. Everything is done in God's world, and since everything God is done in God's world, everything is holy. Even the little things that you do. You know what? Technically speaking, even watching a basketball game could become holy. I said could. But if you don't understand that, you would never reach this level. For you, it's going to be very clear cut. This is holy, this is unholy. And there was some rabbis that for them, they were able to see beyond the mask, beyond the facade that we have, to see the true neshama of every person, that every person is holy. And every act is holy. Kol ma'aseh is ma'aseh kadosh. If you just have the proper thing, if you have the proper thought, if you have the proper outlook for that. In other words, you cannot, it can't be that you're just holy in shul or in the yeshiva. You could be holy everywhere if you only choose to see that everything, God, the Kadosh Baruch Hu, is involved with it non-stop all the time. And if you understand that, you yourself will act different. Because you understand that God is standing in front of you all the time. You will see it. So now, and as we said, Chazal said that, as we said before, all the Moadim, all the other Chagim in the future is going to be cancelled besides Purim. And why? Because all the other holidays are based on miracles that were open miracles, whether it's Yet Mitzrayim, whether it's Sukkot, whether it's Matan Torah, all about open miracles. However, La'atid Lavo, right? La'atid Lavo is going to be a little bit different. Why? Because when we're going to be able to see that Chol itself, mundane itself, is also holy, that Hester, hiding, is also a way of revelation, and probably even a higher level of revelation. Even that is going to be an eternal awareness of God. And there are times in person's life that everything looks accidental and or just like a coincidence in their life, right? Whether it's loss that we experience, whether it's chas v'shalom sickness that we have, a missed opportunity that we have, missing a bus, rejection. We didn't get into this program, we get into that program, we didn't date with this girl, we end up dating with, and so on and so forth, right? Whether it's a long wait, you're waiting for something for a long time, and you're in why is this and why is this? Comes here Purim and teaches us. It is very possible that right now you're only in chapter 3 or chapter 2 of the story. You didn't read the whole entire story. And the real change, the real turning of the tables is just ahead of you. You didn't get there yet. And that's why it's very possible that the insomnia that King Achashverosh had already had started. In other words, we don't know that. You don't know what already happened. We want, you don't know how the wheels of Geulah, of redemption, already start to turn without even you knowing. The name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not appear in the Megillah, but He's present in every single pasuk. Every verse, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is in it. And so is in our lives. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is involved and present and determined in every aspect of our lives. Whether we want to admit it or we don't want to admit it, He's there. And in Purim He says, V'na'afochu, just the other way around, right? V'na'afochu. Not only the situation has changed, but even the bed itself, V'na'afochu, even bed itself became a kli, a vessel of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, a vessel of good in it. And this is a secret. Not to run away from the darkness, but rather take it and turn it into a light. Not to look for revelation outside of reality, some kind of a miraculous thing, but on the contrary, to find God within our reality, to see Him in every single action that we have. And I really hope that the processes in which is happening right now in the world is just going to be chapter B, and the real good is really ahead of the corner, turning the wheel not just for the sake of us, but rather for the sake of God Himself, that God's name is going to be honored and praised in this world in the right way, in the right way, because God is God of mercy and kindness. And I really hope that this is going to be a tremendous Yeshuat to Kol Am Yisrael, and we should reach their salvation through love, compassion, and really kindness. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu have mercy on all of us and those of us who live in Eretz Israel. Amen. Ken Yiratzon and Purim Sameach.